Oklahoma.
SJ, welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, Stongo, Gary Fife, Jaho, Jeff Giddos, Mvskoke Radio, Mabo Hedget, Wedgekis. Oh, excuse me there, about to burp on the microphone there. We have several things to share with you today. We'll be talking to a couple of our Mvskoke Nation folks here on tax preparation. They've got a service that will offer this kind of thing to citizens and qualified folks for free and save you a pile of bucks on a wonderful subject there, tax preparation. We know it's coming, and death and taxes, that's what they say. We'll be taking a break and talking with Billy Halton about the upcoming livestock show this weekend, so you might want to check that out. And then in the last portion of our program, we'll have a couple of our Mvskoke Media people coming in and talking about the effect of a governmental shutdown. We all got lucky, and it was only 3 days this time, but they took a time to figure out how it might be such a thing impacts the Mvskoke Creek Nation, and whose office is open and whose isn't, and whose help is available and whose isn't. So we'll be talking with those folks and see what they found out. But first of all, we'd like to welcome to our studio Commerce Secretary Elijah McIntosh and Mr. Chris Coburn of the Native Mvskoke Loan Fund. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for making time for us today. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I presume you're about like the most of us. When tax time rolls around, it may not be your favorite subject, but it's an obligation all of us have, and it's not quite the same as it used to be. I remember when I was a young guy starting out, and I got hit with the tax situation. It was the old 1040s, and you essentially fill out your name and write down a couple numbers, and that was about it. Not the same game these days, right? Do either of you have a feel for how much more complex filing your taxes has become in the last decade or two? I mean, just a ballpark feel.
Well, I think one of the things that's happened, everybody's noticed each year there's additional tax laws that are made, and so each year it gets more and more complex as the tax code. I think I know about 10 years ago I was speaking with the CPA, and almost for each rule within the tax code, I think there's about an average of 33 pages outlining all the details of everything. So it's very complex, the tax code, and it just gets more complex every day.
Yeah, that kind of thing gives me a headache.
Yeah.
Now, we have, of course, our tax deadline will be April the 16th this year. Is that correct?
Yes, April the 15th falls on a Sunday, and so the tax day always ends on a business day. So I believe the actual filing date is Monday, April 16th.
Okay, for you people who just can't get around to it, April 13th and 14th will be your days to panic then, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, first of all, let's get a kind of a capsule description. Let's start with the Mvskoke Loan Fund. What do you guys set up to do, and what sort of services do you provide?
Okay, well, the Mvskoke Loan Fund, we are what's called a community development financial institution. It's a unique status under U.S. Treasury. We do lending to provide capital primarily to small businesses, startups. Our target audience is Native Creek citizens in the state boundaries of Oklahoma, or any federally recognized Native citizen within our 11-county jurisdiction as a tribe. We do small, what are called micro-enterprise loans. Those loans could be, a very small amount. The top end of micro-enterprise lending, what we're approved for, is $50,000. So it may be startup capital, it may be acquisition capital, It may be purchasing a piece of land or a piece of property, or maybe if it's a contractor or a piece of equipment. It often, when people are starting out, small businesses, entrepreneurs, access to initial capital is hard. They may have skills, but they may not have been the boss or the owner. They need some sort of capital to help get them started. And often some of those same people may need a lot of education to go from being the person doing the work to being the person that is the supervisor, owner, boss. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of financial training that side of the desk that most people don't understand. Yeah. And so we provide, in addition to lending, which is we are a nonprofit financial corporation designed to serve the target audience I described earlier. We're affiliated with Creek Nation. The goal of us is to basically get capital out there so more Native Americans are employed and the standard of living and assets among Native Americans goes up. So we have a variety of different initiatives we do with children, with adults, to help people understand the rules of finance, how to do budgeting, how to understand credit, and build that up.
Okay, kind of a business ed 101.
Yeah, in essence. In fact, coming up in the next few months, you'll see we'll have some what we call business boot camps.
Great.
And so we'll have that happening.
We'll have to have you guys back on. Now, Mr. Secretary, you're providing a free service for those who qualify for it. Now, why is the tribe and the nation involving itself like this?
Well, this is the VITA program, and it's a program that's, I guess you could say, is sponsored by the IRS. And VITA stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And what it is for individuals and families with income less than $64,000. And it's a way for them to file their taxes for free, to get some advice, some assistance free of charge. And so what you'll find a lot of times within this, it helps them save money rather than having to pay for the taxes. And so, if somebody's getting a $3,000 return and they're able to save $300 on tax preparation, that can be 10% of the return that they get to retain. So they get to keep more of their money, and that can cover a lot of expenses for somebody. For a lot of people, that's their, more than what their food budget is for the month. So it allows them to take that money and inject into the economy. And for us, especially within our jurisdictional boundaries, and keep that money here at home.
Sure, that's a car payment or,
yes,
whatever else.
That's a lot of gas money to get back and forth from work.
Amen. Now, one would think a little jog down 75 from Glenpool, no big deal, but after a while it is. I mean, I can imagine what it's like coming from, Holdenville or something like that. Now, the program that you're offering here, it's free tax preparation through VITA, and it does have its limits. I mean, we're not talking about throwing the door open to everybody. Who qualifies, and what do they have to have?
Yeah, it's set up more for kind of simple returns, typical 1040. If they have a complex return, or they have a business with depreciation, they may they'd probably be better off going and speaking with a CPA. Mm-hmm. As we stated, this is volunteers doing it. They've done testing. They have knowledge of it. But for complex returns, they'd be better off going to a tax professional. But for people who are employees, typically have a couple W-2s, maybe some home mortgage interests, this is a program that can really help them out. So that's really kind of who we're targeting with this program.
Now, there's been mention of income guidelines, so I presume there are other qualifications that an eligible family might have?
Yeah, I'll take that. Basically, our program provided, there are other VITA programs in the area. We wanted to provide ours because we could cater it toward the same population that Mvskoke Loan Fund helps, which is Native American families. The demographic that we try to help with all of what we do, it fits in well. So who's eligible for our program? A citizen of Creek Nation, And, when they come in, we'll have a checklist of things if they make an appointment, but one of the things we'll verify is citizenship. They could be an employee of Creek Nation, and we have our health system, and some employees are not native. That's okay. Just, show us your employee ID badge, we'll help them. Or a household. There's some blended families, maybe one Creek citizen's in the home, and the rest aren't. Well, still, we're going to help them. But that's the sort of the target market. And the 64,000 total household gross income, that is an IRS guideline.
Now, when you say 64,000, that's everybody. Huh?
That's everyone.
Mom, dad, kids.
Yeah, that's everyone. So if it's a two earner and they both make 50,000, obviously they're over the threshold. The reason the threshold was set by the IRS is it's designed to help low to mid-income families. They pay the cost of providing the software training for us as volunteers, and we go through certifications at various levels, both beginning, intermediate, and advanced. And they provide the cost to partner with TaxSlayer, which is a nationally known online tax filing system, which is verified and a lot of people use. And so the people that know, the IRS and accountants, and the software people at TaxSlayer have worked together to create online software that basically, when we're volunteers, and let's pretend, Gary, you came and saw me, and we did an appointment. You call and talk to Felicia at the loan fund. You schedule an appointment. You would bring in your documents. You may not know, or your computer skills may not be super high, but together, you and I talking, looking at the documents, we can walk you through using the tax software, and by the end of it, provided everything goes well, you're filing your return and you're getting a direct deposit back into your account, and you're not paying those several $100s to a different preparer. You're saving that.
Well, while we're walking through this, and we take it a step further than documents, that's where it all gets done right there. So what sorts of documents should a person bring in?
Well, because our guidelines are income-based, we need documents related to like W-2s, which would be earnings. If the bank gives them a savings statement, if they've got a mortgage, the mortgage statement showing, the fees chart. If they have a student loan, the student interest payment. If they paid college expenses, they're going to get a statement from the school. Things involving the inflow and outflow of money that could be allowable and the actual forms involved, then we can help them put those in the right place. Also, the tax software is very intuitive. It asks you screen by screen, who's in the household, what's going on, what situations are there, so that we can see if there is something missing. As best we can before someone comes in, we're going to talk to them and advise them on what they need to bring in.
Right. That'll save them an extra trip.
Yeah, and another thing we have to do is everyone on the return we have to have Social Security numbers for them. So even if they pay grandma to watch their child and they're paying her $100 a week or $100 a month, we need some sort of statement to that effect, because that's possibly a child care expense they could claim, but we have to have documentation to back that up.
So if the teenager is working at Mickey D's, they need to bring that one in?
Yes, the W-2, yes.
Yeah, the majority of people will have W-2s, and then there's a 1098 form that they'll get for mortgage interest. Typically, if they have a bank account that pays a little bit of interest, the banks will send them a 1098. Kind of the same thing on mortgage interest. That'll be the majority, probably what majority of people will bring in.
Or 1099s for retirement might be a form as well.
Now, I know there are a lot of numbers flying by us here, and forms and stuff like that. If someone is confused about that kind of thing, what's a 1040 or a 1099? Is there someone they can talk to in your office and find out what that is? We
can answer general questions based on what tax terms and numbers, because like we were saying, an interest statement's going to be, a 1099, right, or 1098.
1098.
Yeah, the 1099 is a retirement form. If we can ask them, hey, are you getting this, or does this apply to you in a particular category, and we could try to match that to a form. Or if they got a document, they don't know what it is. We may not be the excellent expert, but we have access to a wonderful database and contacts with the IRS and contacts with TaxSlayer. We can look it up and find them an answer. It may not be right away, but we will get back with them and we'll help them figure that out.
Now, speaking of the IRS, they can respond to questions too. I presume a taxpayer could call them and ask?
Yes, with this program, that's one of the things that the IRS offers is they have a hotline that's set up just for the VITA program, and it's kind of expedited over their other helplines because this is a relationship that they're trying to do to get people to maximize their returns, and also in kind of reference to the previous question, I would say as they're putting together their tax documents, more is better, because then we can, if it doesn't apply, we can remove it from the return, but it's much better to bring everything that may relate to it, and then we can go through and see which forms are relevant and which ones are not, rather than get there and have forms that are missing. And
sure. The old philosophy of it's better to have it and not need it.
Yes, and a lot of them, like the 1098s and the W-2s, I mean, it'll have several blocks in there. It'll kind of, each of the blocks will be lettered, A, B, C, D, and so it's, if they get kind of a weird form like that, that'll be something that they'll want to bring in.
Yeah, and thankfully with our software, if we see the labeling of the form and the software, the way it's intuitive and cues people through what's unique about their household and their life and their income and their expenses, the guidance we provide is helping them know where to put what information. Mm-hmm. And so, in essence, if people are afraid of doing their taxes, which is a lot of people.
Pretty intimidating.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're not designed for the most complicated return, a large business or whatever, but likely they would have higher than $64,000 income. But typical family, with earnings, dependents, deductions for those care, maybe a mortgage, maybe student loan expense or college expenses or child care expenses. There are documents related to those that we can help them make sense of and get in the right place so that they can file a return and have high confidence in its accuracy and still save the money because we're using the TaxSlayer Pro software, which has an excellent reputation.
I know. Go ahead, Secretary.
Oh, and I was going to touch on something Chris said. That's kind of a barrier for some people. It's just kind of the unknown. People in general are fearful of things that they don't know, and so taxes, they can be intimidating sometimes, and so this is something that the nation overall is trying to solve, remove that hurdle, and the Mvskoke Loan Fund's going to offer the program, but also hopefully it can make our citizens, the ones who may be apprehensive about certain areas, give them an area of comfort coming in to working with the nation on getting their taxes done, and somebody maybe they can relate to a little bit for questions.
Now, this program and the Mvskoke Creek Nation cannot pay your taxes for you. I mean,
yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, so if they do have to owe, it is still up to the individual to pay their own taxes, and then it's also up to the individual to provide all the information. So the responsibility. That's just the way that the tax law always is. It always ultimately falls to the individual. So that's something for them to, make sure that they represent everything that they have when they file their taxes.
Well, let's go back to Tax 101 here. Let's call it our Head Start program. Now, what kinds of things are people responsible for paying taxes on? I presume income, right? And what else? Yes,
and kind of reporting all forms of income, I guess. So even if they get Social Security or VA benefits, they would generally get a form, like we said, kind of a W-2 or a 1098 that'll demonstrate what kind of income they've gotten off of that. And so that'll represent the amount that they've gotten, because it's important to have supporting documentation as well. In addition to that, any expenses that are tax deductible, they'll want to have supporting documentation for that, such as receipts. Chris brought up, for child care, that can also often be tax deductible, and so for that, you'll generally want some kind of documentation showing that you paid that amount, whether it's check stubs, or then some child care centers, they'll give a statement at the end of the year of how much money was paid.
Yeah, and if it's a family member, a statement can be made. You will need to list the person, the relationship, the amount, and that person's Social Security number, where if it was a child care center, they would have their tax ID number. So again, because it's an expense being taken off someone's liability on their return, part of the check and balance with the IRS is they want to see, well, who was the individual that provided that, and how do we verify that? So that's how we do it. And some other things that people might think of that might fall within this thing, they might get a 1098 also from some kind of gaming win or a prize win, you know. So
let's not hide those folks.
yeah, so they need to be providing accurate information, and we will help them put it in the right place and make the process as unintimidating as possible. But you know, the main benefit is that, you know, it'll get that money back into the community. They can save hundreds of dollars on prep fees. Direct deposit is what they're going to need to do. And, you know, so providing that information as well.
Let me ask you one more little thing about that casino. I guess they report these sorts of things to the IRS?
Yes, I'd ask that somebody please verify this, but I believe it's if it's over $1,100, then the casino, they'll give the individual a form when they cash in their winnings, and that's the amounts that need to be reported to the IRS. And I think, I believe it's my understanding that's the rule. So if you get that form, if they did hit a big jackpot of a few $1,000s and they got that form back when they were cashing in their winnings, and that is what needs to be turned in and reported as winnings. And then they may, if they go to the casino a lot, you can also, against your winnings, you can deduct the amount that you've lost, in a sense.
Almost like listing the casino as a dependent.
Yeah, for some people it is, but yeah, it'll, you know, but that's another thing. You'll need some way to support it if you're deducting a lot of money within that area. So that's something that you'll want to have some supporting documentation of.
So kind of a simplified view is just the inflow of income coming into the household and the outflow of going out. A lot of those will have documents related that can lessen or increase the tax burden. We will help you with the right forms, put those in the right place.
Right. Let me ask kind of a theoretical, or I presume for a lot of folks it's real, including yours truly. We have some income from a small oil well, and it's on restricted land. And I presume when the oil company sends you this form, that's what you include, and it is taxable even though it's on restricted land? Or is that a little toughy one there?
Yeah, that may be one where you may consult with the tax professional on that to make sure that you're hitting all the right points, because with oil wells, you know, I don't know all the details of it, but some of them, you can get a certain amount of depreciation off of them. And so sometimes it can get complex, and sometimes it can be as simple as just reporting the income. So for those type of returns and those type of questions, you'd probably be better off speaking with a CPA about, someone who's more familiar with, and that's kind of where we were talking a little bit about the more complex tax returns. If you got, you know, some more technical questions such as that may be something that's a little bit more specialized, and they may be better off speaking to a tax professional about that. So, yeah, this program's more kind of for the simpler returns.
So basically, we'll help anyone we can, and we'll answer questions. If it seems to need a professional like a CPA or a lawyer, we'll inform people at that time.
Okay. Well, it makes sense to me. You know, if you can't help them because of this thing getting a little crazy there, then you better go talk to somebody who does it for a living, all right?
Yes.
Well, I've done that, and it doesn't hurt that much. Gee. All right, now, the program will be available from when to when?
We'll be running it. Our first appointments. We're doing it by appointment only, as we have a team of 8 employees of the tribe, my team and 4 others, and so we're doing it along with our regular duties. So we're going to be having appointment-only sessions on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, beginning the 30th of this month, running through April 12th, which is that last Thursday before tax season. We'll have a 9 o'clock, an 11 o'clock, and a 1:30 session, and we can take up to 2 appointments per session. So just a little under 200 returns is the max of what we can do as this VITA project. and it's a first come, first serve by appointment only.
No, I think we need to underline that by appointment only. In other words, you will not be taking walk-ins, right?
No, people, if they have questions and they want to come by, we can answer questions. They can get on our list from walking in.
Mm-hmm.
The Mvskoke Loan Fund, we office on the first floor of housing, kind of Suite 126. They can come by and talk to us. We can get them on the schedule either by phone or in person. But yes, actually for the appointment times, it has to be scheduled. Okay. Yeah, may I give the number?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
do.
so the Mvskoke Loan Fund's main phone number is 918-549-2603, and that's our main number for the Mvskoke Loan Fund, and they can call and make appointments there. We're keeping a schedule. We would prefer people to get their documents together, then make the appointment so we can knock it out and do it correctly in one sitting. But that's basically it. We'd be glad to help people.
Okay, well, great. We're going to wrap this up now. Before we let you go, is there anything else that you need to put out there, make sure that people are aware of?
No.
Imagine that. I did an interview that covered everything.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, we are here to help. We're using IRS certified software, TaxSlayer Pro. It's guided self-service.
Mm-hmm.
We can help you put your information that you are giving me and saying is accurate in the right place and saving you hundreds of dollars and getting your tax return done. We can only do it by appointment only. We can answer questions, and if we don't have the answer, we have contacts and an 800 number for IRS that will help us. And we just want to make an impact and help our people the best we can. So please call the Mvskoke Loan Fund. Again, that's 918-549-2603 and schedule an appointment. We're starting this on the 30th of this month and running through April 12th, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And I would like to say, if they could, please thank the volunteers that are helping with the program, the departments that are helping Mvskoke Loan Funds, devoting a lot of their staff and a lot of other programs. And I think one of the volunteers is actually using their lunch hour to do the returns. So when they do work, just please realize that they are volunteers and they are doing it as a service to our citizens. And it's something, for some of them, they are making a sacrifice to do so. So if you could show them some appreciation when they do go in there.
Sure, and if you
be
get
great.
bad news, it's not their fault. It's
Correct,
yours.
correct.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
We want to thank our Commerce Secretary, Elijah McIntosh, and Mr. Chris Coburn of the Mvskoke Loan Fund. Thank you, gentlemen, and word of advice to taxpayers, do not wait till the last minute. Okay, we'll take a short pause here, and we're going to see if we can't run down Billy Haltom and find out a little bit about the upcoming livestock show. Stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio, here on 1240 The Brew.
Hear that? That's the sound of hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio. This is Gary Fife. We have Mr. Billy Haltom on the line here, and he's going to tell us about the livestock show coming up this weekend, I believe. Mr. Haltom, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first of all, what you got and when?
Okay, we're talking about the Mvskoke Creek Nation All Indian Livestock. It'll be January 26th and 27th, which is this Friday evening and Saturday. This is our fifth year to have the Creek Nation Indians All Indian Livestock Show. And we have grown from a small show, the first one held Okmulgee, to now we are the second largest All Indian Livestock Show in the United States.
I think a point to underline here is this is a livestock show. It is not a rodeo, right?
Yes, sir. It is a livestock show. We show sheep and goats Friday night, and then we start Saturday at 9:30 in the morning with our market hog show. And when we get done with that, we'll show the cattle, the heifers.
Okay. The use of what's the word I'm fumbling here for? Livestock.
Livestock.
Animals and this kind of thing is an important part of the economy for this area, and particularly for the Creek Nation citizens, right?
Yes, sir. We're talking about young kids that are just now entering the realm of the agricultural world, but are probably going to be engaged in some facet of agriculture from now throughout their adult life.
The show is then geared toward young people. Is that what I'm hearing there?
Yes, to be eligible to show, senior in high school or younger. We don't have a bottom age. As long as the young exhibitor is able to present their animal by themselves, we don't care if they're 5 or 6 years old, just as long as they're able to get the job done in the ring without any assistance.
And I presume you've had a few of those?
We've had a lot. Matter of fact, last year we had a young man that was actually had the grand champion lamb that was a 5-year-old.
That's quite an accomplishment. Now, what is the interest from your participants? Why do they do this? Are they looking at raising livestock as a let's call it a career, an important part of their life in the future? Doing it just for the competition? What's going on there?
Well, I think they get involved in it because of the interest and because of it's a fun activity. It's an activity that the whole family can participate in. But more importantly, I think after they get involved and they see not only the good that it does, but also the fun that they can have, and then we incorporate into that the life lessons that they learn as far as it's hard to beat hard work. It gives you some responsibility. We have some financial benefits there, too, as well, in a lot of cases. There's a lot of real life lessons that they learn in the course of showing livestock from the time they're a young kid to the time they graduate high school. And a lot of them will pursue degrees in agriculture-related activity or go on to raise livestock.
Let me ask you a question here that's not related to the show, but is related to livestock. Now, we've seen American farmers take some pretty hard hits economically over the past few years. Does raising livestock and farming then still present a pretty decent way of making a living?
It's a great way to make a living. The deal about livestock and agriculture in general is it's not an industry that you can get into for a little while. It's something that you have to kind of be in on a long-term plan. It's like anything else in the economy. We have our highs and our lows, and a lot of times in agriculture, more lows than highs. But I think with diligence and hard work, efficient operation, those type of things, better record keeping, technology has improved things tremendously. But we still have to fight the weather, and we depend upon the good Lord to provide us with rain, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of things that are out of our control. But in general, I think livestock is an excellent way to make a living. Most of our kids will not be full-time agriculturalists, but there's a high percentage of them that will probably own a few cows or maybe raise some pigs or some goats or something like that in their life.
And that will teach them a lot about being a good person, I presume.
We try to teach them that to look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, put down their cell phone, and actually do some good hard work.
Okay. Now, Billy, we're going to move on to our next thing here, but why don't you run over the logistics for me here? Okay, the show starts when, where's it located, and who's eligible?
Okay, we're talking about the Mvskoke County Fairgrounds in Okemos, where our show will be held. It's this Friday evening. We show the sheep and the goats Friday at 6:30. On Saturday, the 27th, we'll start at 9:30 in the morning with our market hog show, and we follow up with the cattle, and that starts either 30 minutes after the hog show or at 2:30. We start at around 3 o'clock. All Creek youth are eligible to come. It's regardless of where they live. Other than that, we invite other tribe members from other tribes that live within the Creek Nation that come from federally recognized tribes. We usually have between 500 and 600 young people that will participate in this activity.
Wow, that's quite a crowd. It's quite popular then, eh?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Mr. Halston, we're going to say thank you very much for filling us in. I'm glad we were able to squeeze this in and remind folks that the show's going on this weekend, and we wish you much success with it.
Thank you, Mr. Fife. We appreciate it.
Okay. All right. That's Billy Halton there, who's talking about the old Creek Nation Livestock Show. Okay. Joining me in the studio here are a couple of my partners in crime, Darren DeLon and Jason Salzman here. They've been taking some time this week to look at the impact of a governmental shutdown on the Creek Nation. Now, we were all lucky here in the U.S. to only have about 3 days of it, and that was over a weekend. But still, there was some impact. I remember looking out the window of my office here and seeing there was no federal firefighting team in place there. And I thought, oh, gee, this is a perfect time for that.
Yeah, windiest day of the year, I think it was, when we were like, oh, man.
Fire alert.
What a wonderful time to have the fire department at the house, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if something happens, there goes your fields. And they'll say, well, so when Congress gets back to signing the law, we'll come out and put out the fire on what's left of your land there. Okay, guys, now, as you took a look at the Creek Nation's kind of prospective impact, were there things in particular big and huge and important that you noticed in your search there? I mean, like, was health affected? I mean, that's a huge one there.
Yeah, no, nothing was affected from our end. I was actually granted on pretty short notice, which made me very happy. Monday morning, a sit-down exclusive interview with Chief Floyd, discussing just exactly what impact, if any, there was on the tribe. He indicated no impact whatsoever. Nobody having to take off work, nobody out, and also that these compacts that we have in place basically contain front-end money. For instances such as this, federal government money, that is. And it's sort of a stopgap. He said about, in the interview, you can watch this online, shameless plug, but you can watch this online. Go to MvskokeMedia.com, watch the entire interview, because it's I didn't chop it up, I didn't omit anything. I let Chief Floyd basically talk about government shutdown. So, for those of you out there like me that don't mind if it's a little bit long, it's 15 minutes of Chief Floyd talking about government shutdown and what it means for Creek Nation. That's a wonderful resource to go and listen to because it's straight out of the man's mouth. He's had a cabinet meeting on this on Monday with his cabinet. He's going to talk with the Speaker of the National Council about it as well. So it's definitely concerned, Gary, but I think that they know that things are taken care of at for a short time. Mm-hmm. So he did iterate the fact in the interview that, something over 30 days, we might get a little bit of a hairy situation down here. Yeah. But he said 3 days, all indications they're going to get it worked out. And what was hilarious was I get this big interview with Chief Floyd, and I'm like, all right, we're going to get him on the government shutdown. I booked the interview. I'm ready to go at 2, and I think a couple hours before they come out and, we've reached a deal. Government's back on. So I thought, dadgummit. But I mean, at the same time, it was nice to still be able to sit down with him and talk about what went on during the absence of federal government. And really, this is just a kick in the can to February 8th. We may do this again February 8th. So the people needed to hear not only what the tribe has to deal with when this happens, but kind of what the plan is and what's the course of action when it does.
Okay, Darren, you took some time to check a few things out. What did you uncover?
Oh, goodness. It's just like on any being a concerned citizen, United States citizen, I was pretty much looking at the website or just trying to get any updates every 30 minutes to an hour, like see if they were coming, see if there was anything coming up. Leading up to it, I went ahead and wrote an article on it Friday, just in case, like what does the government shutdown mean? Well, how will it affect everybody? I mean, we were speaking about the military. Military was one of the biggest things around. Because although they will be serving, they will still be doing their job. They're not getting paid for it. Right. They were not going to get paid for it, and. We've had a shutdown before. The last one, of course, was 2013. I think it lasted 2 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But during that time, the military still got paid. They passed something. It was a Pay Our Military Act. But the thing about it was, it only affected that at that time in 2013. It didn't go into 2018. And that was the one of the things I was worried about. And Guys, my fault on this. I forgot her name. She's a Democrat Senate out of Missouri. No. Yeah, I think out of Missouri. She brought up. She was trying to propose a bill about paying the military, and Mitch McConnell, Republican, and y'all might know where he's at. I just saw his name. It was just glance. He blocked it. He blocked it. That was Saturday. That was Saturday. So you hear like the bickering, the back and forth, like what about our military? I think, the sides were trying to negotiate. It was just like, I think it was like, if they're not going to let us do this, we're not going to do this. It was the bickering, like the just put in a capsule. It was the bickering is what I saw.
Yeah, tit for tat.
Yeah.
And, what a heck of a time to have the military not paid, and we're essentially sitting on the edge of a nuclear war with North Korea. I mean, geez, come on, guys, let's keep them happy. The tribe was worried. There are several programs that do receive federal funding, and there are various guidelines affecting them. Maybe you guys could share some of the programs that are affected like that.
Well, you look at things that are federally funded. Housing comes to mind, the transit department, federal roads program, all very essential and highly used departments at the tribe. So it's not like, the things that are affected are going to be of a minuscule level or something that won't be felt. It definitely would. Because you have programs like that. Social services is another that comes to mind. And you look where you have to look at just where funds are coming from. And it causes you to pay a little bit more attention than you may have before when you realize sovereignty, yes, great, we're doing great things, but we still are affected by something happening in Washington that we have no say on whatsoever. There's no tribal dignitaries or tribes or IHS or BIA officials in those chambers saying, wait a minute, hold on. Want to know what we think about immigration? Nobody's doing that. So it's somebody having an argument and an impasse over something that's affecting what's happening here. That is frustrating. But that's why we have lobbyists and people there that are supposed to be doing their job on our behalf. And I talked to Chief Floyd about the lobbyists. He has talked to them, and they are doing everything they can to talk about those needs. Remind people that BIA workers didn't report on Monday. I know a lot of Indians out there, they'll be okay with that. Like, oh, man, I don't care.
I was wondering which one of you guys was going to jump on.
But But it's their job to remind those folks that are having those conversations. Of course, they're getting it from every level. Everybody's, you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. Congress didn't take a pay cut like the military. It goes on and on. It's a big, unnecessary thing, in my personal American citizen, tribal citizen opinion, that's going on. But it's something that happens in the process, and you live with it, and you do your best to try to, have some kind of contingency.
In your searches, did you guys run across anything that was looking at the two important categories of health and light horse? I mean, law and order and health. Were there any concerns there that you ran across?
I think what we've looked at so far, what we've looked, what you've provided, what we've looked at online, followed this because we're reporters. That's what we do. We read the news and we try to get as many different sources as we can, credible on things. From what it looks like, nationwide, Indian Health Services wasn't really affected. The main thing was Bureau of Indian Affairs. That's what we're seeing. The main thing that was sort of interrupted along with the government. Light horse, I don't know, but nothing was said. I imagine that if light horse was affected or was interrupted in any way, that Chief Floyd would have said that in that interview. Now, maybe. I can't speculate as to what he was thinking and withholding from me, but I think that Chief Floyd, I've interviewed him enough, that if light horse had been stopped, interrupted, work stoppage, cut off of funds, whatever, what have you, he would have said that. Mm-hmm. And because that's one of those things, like I just interviewed him last week too, about these problems as tribes that we have come up, and we'd like to keep them quiet, but some of them you just absolutely can't, and that would be one would fall in that category. So I would have to speculate that no, there was nothing with light horse from here.
Now, in the process of collecting this information, did either of you hear any comments from citizens or employees about any concerns here? Was there any rumbling at the water cooler that people were kind of scared about or anything like that?
I didn't come across any of citizens or employees that said anything, but then again, that's probably something that they weren't going to talk about out loud and everything. And but I mean, it was just really just us. I mean, whenever we weren't whenever we weren't in the office, I mean, we were listening to the radio just in case. I mean, just in case if something changes, that's the thing. So yeah, I didn't. But when I was away from the radio or my computer or anything like that, I didn't come across anybody like talking about the shutdown. But I'm pretty sure I knew it was on their minds.
We like to call it the Journo Nerd Powwow that we like to have at the office. And when we talk about things like
every morning.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Gary will be the first to tell you, I stop by his office anytime there's something topically to discuss, and I'm like, hey, what'd you think? Or, and that's just kind of our way of, like a professional athlete trains every day to make sure that that's just our way to stay with news as it's happening, talking about it, being able, yes, exactly. Butter in the bread.
Yeah, or sharpening the knife.
Sharpening the knife. I'm sorry, Gary. Yeah.
Yes, you've got to remember what profession we're in. The relief is kind of tangible that nothing happened. I was personally happy to see the BIA firefighters with their garages open and their vehicles ready to go.
Yep.
I thought, yes, because I keep seeing bigger patches of burned ground on the way home. The way home and the way to work from Glenpool. I mean, those black spots are getting longer. And holy mackerel there. And that's, right next to a residential area. And if something stupid happens on the north end of Glenpool, you've got all those storage tanks that I believe blew up a few years back. So I was, wondering like, oh my God, is this going to affect, all of the firefighting efforts? I presume they all get some kind of federal money, but gosh, now wait a minute, this is a personal impact. Now, did either of you guys feel that sort of thing?
With the shutdown happening, a lot of people are going to look back and say, "Oh, it was only 3 days. That's nothing." you're not thinking about, only 3 days. You were that day to day. I mean, that was worrying, like we're going on day 2, then finally on day 3, they come up with something. They finally agree. But man, it was like, those are like a scary 72 hours or almost 72 hours. So that to think about that, to think about what could happen if that shutdown just kept going. Kept going.
Well, one kind of, let's call it a stretch here. That unfortunate oil fire in Oilton.
Yes.
It was 2 days before the responders could get in there and find the remains of these 5 guys. That's within 3 days. There's 2 days of an idea that could happen, unfortunately for them. But we've ended it. Now, I'm going to hope that the American population gets on their phones and jumps all over Congress's butt and the president too. Like, hey, don't let this kind of crap happen. You guys get your job done.
Yeah, like we said, it is short-lived because it's going back up. What, February 8th? Mm-hmm. Is it February 8th that? It's like it ended. It's ending briefly. Like I said, all these talks, if they're not happening now, they're going to be happening again very, very soon. So that's the thing about that. Yeah, Gary's right. Everybody just needs to call their congressman. Let them know. Let them know what's going to be going on with. How it's affecting everybody. I'm pretty sure they know, but I believe. I know they're worried, but then again, I know. They're still getting paid. Regardless. So
just the final thought on it for me is that what's disappointing the most about it, I think, coming out and being, the government operating again, is that we've already seen it sort of become this blame game, or like a triumphant, hey, if those guys would get their act together, the Democrats come to their senses, well, the Republicans are in charge, how could they let the government shut down? There's too much of that. That's what led to it anyway. Mm-hmm. If we can just, you're so busy bickering with each other that you forgot about the American people. Mm-hmm. That's the loser in the government shutdown. The government shutdown, the loser is the American people. So, all of you come to your senses, not just one side,
Yeah, so. Yeah. The blame game, finger pointing has been incredibly thick for the past few days. And all you hear of nationalists is this guy didn't do that and they didn't do that and it's because of this fault. But this proposal was shot down years ago for the same reason. Mm-hmm. And I think, well, that's fine, but here we are looking at the short end of the stick, and it's kind of ridiculous. Well, now after kind of poking around our tribe and talking with the principal chief, did anybody kind of have any conclusions or final thoughts on what we just went through? Something that sticks in your mind.
I think the main thing that I got from Chief Floyd was that it is a concern. He's not happy with the kicking the can down the road mentality that's not only come with this appropriations and everything, but the appropriations for tribes in general, the federal dollars that come in for tribes in general, because he's wanting to see it be more of a yearly budget, like actual budgeted thing, to where they're just appropriating and kicking down the road. He sees a real problem with that because there's no consistency. There's no way to have everything sort of uniform. We're always just waiting for the trapdoor to open. What's next? So that was the biggest thing I took out of his comments.
Yeah, Darren, anything stick in your mind?
One did. After that, the shutdown ended. There was one. He was a U.S. citizen, not a Mvskoke Creek citizen, but he brought up how he goes, all right, the government shut down. He goes, the government ended the shutdown. Everything should be okay. I go, you're looking at it wrong. It's only 3 weeks. And what bothered me the most is when he said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. No. They need to get to it now. They need to get this now. Get going now too. Like we just said earlier. Guys, y'all gotta agree, because and Jason, said it. It was perfectly. The only people that are suffering are the citizens. Mm-hmm. So
and you're at that bridge now, guys.
Yeah. The bridge. You've been at that bridge. I mean, way before the shutdown even began.
Well, one thing we need to remember here was the 2018 budget figures for, like the BIA and the Indian Health Service, were low to begin with. I mean, this is not free money to Indians, folks. This is money that's legally obligated in the treaties and the political relationship between Native American governments and the federal government.
Yes.
So
think of it as mortgage on land.
There you are. You know, payments for the land deal.
There you go. You want this beautiful United States of America that you're standing on? Hey, we capitalism. You know, you want a parcel of land and we own it. You can lease it from us. How about that?
Yeah, you got to make a land deal.
There we go.
All right. Well, we've got a few announcements here, guys. So if you'll give me a hand with those.
Yeah.
First of all, let's start with this one. This Friday, on the 26th, there is a fundraiser plate lunch available. It's to help one of our citizens with their daughter's health care costs. So that's certainly a good cause. That's the 26th from 11 to 2 at the Dome, the Omniplex. And lots of really good stuff there for $8 for the plate lunch. So if you can help them out, if you're hungry, sound like a pretty good place to go.
Save the date. We are going red for Native Women Heart Health Summit. That'll be next Thursday, February 1st from 7:30 to 1:30 at the Glenpool Conference Center. That's at 205 South Yukon Avenue in Glenpool. Nice, big, beautiful new place there off of the highway. Registration is required, and you can do that by calling Elizabeth Tork at 405-415-3027, or your contact information to elizabeth.tork@heart.org. And this is free to attend, so check it out. Heart health is something that really plagues our Native women, and so we're going red for Heart Health Summit.
Awesome. Spring Celebration T-shirt design and art contest. They're accepting artwork until January 26th. That's this Friday. The theme is Youth Celebrating Traditions. For any more information on it, please contact 918-732-7600. Again, that deadline is January 26th.
It's always a fun one. Okay, this time of year has begun the accepting applications for the annual Mvskoke Creek Nation 2018 Scholarship Pageant.
Wow.
Divisions, Junior Miss, 14 to 17, that's a high school student, and Miss Mvskoke Nation, ages 17 to 24, and that's attending or enrolled in higher education. There are some wonderful prizes for the winners there, and the pageant promotes our nation during their year-long reign through educational and other public speaking and appearances, represents our people. So if you want to request an application, it's 918-549-2557. So give those folks a call if you're interested in entering the Miss Mvskoke and Junior Miss Mvskoke Scholarship Pageants.
You got to check out the pageant. It's the one time of year Gary gets in a tuxedo.
That was Mark Abbott last year.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, and he got the wrong winner, too.
Mark, he did that on purpose. I
Just
know
like-
he likes to listen to us. I bet you he's laughing right now listening to us, but I bet you he did. He's known for a good rib. You know what I mean?
They did it at the Oscars.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, a couple of quick things. Red Stick Gallery, operated by the tribe here, has got a lot of wonderful stuff for sale downtown here, right across the street from the council house. Well, guys, thanks for coming in to help me out. We appreciate your thoughts and observations on the governmental shutdown.
Thanks for having us, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, we're going to have you back. Anything cool coming down the line?
No, we've got a lot of exciting things going on with the rebrand at Mvskoke Media. We're really pulling in everything to be universal. We're doing a few name changes with the TV show and everything like that. We're excited to announce that. Not right now, but we will soon. So.
Okay, well, thank you for listening, folks. We appreciate it. Meadow. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.